Blueberry cheesecake that you actually serve in a mason jar. It's a really neat idea, but you also cook it using the sous vide function on the Ninja Foodi Pro. In fact, the recipe's right out of their Ninja Foodi Pro's recipe book. I've got a few amendments I'm going to make to it, and I'll explain that in just a second. I'm John Sanders, also known as Jelly 007. Let's make some blueberry cheesecake in a mason jar. All right there is everything you need, and if you have the Ninja Foodi Pro, then you already have this cookbook right here, which is the recipe book. And in that recipe book is this right here, blueberry cheesecake. And I've got some notes there that I'm going to explain. And I'm also going to explain this picture, because it's a little misleading, that jar they're using there, but I'll get into that in a minute. But if you want to make a screenshot of that, I'm going to hold it steady for just a second, and right there is everything pretty much you need to know. They forget to add some things, but like I said, I'm going to explain my notes a little bit better in just a second. And it also says in there that you can use a stand mixer, a hand mixer, or I'm sure you could use something like this in a bowl. Well, I've been dying to get this out for a while, so that's what I've done. I'm using my stand mixer. I did a test recipe last night. The only thing I did was the cheesecake part. I haven't even put together the graham crumbs and all yet, but we're going to tonight, hopefully. And I'm going to explain these jars. But what I'm going to do right now is get the water. It calls for 12 cups, but we're going to look at that and see how that works. And I'm going to bring you back during that part, and we're going to get that water to started heating. And then we're going to mix everything up in my stand mixer. I'll be back. Before I set up the jars, I have to explain this right here. And it is this picture, which is, it looks normal until you read right here. And it says, using a 4-ounce mason jar, fill each jar up 2/3 of the way. So I'm not going to get real deep into that, but they're asking for a 4-ounce jar. Well, that's fairly small, as you know. In fact, I went and purchased them, and here's what they're called, mini jars. They're used normally for herbs and spices and stuff like that. But right here one is. And that's really small. And when you put 2/3 of cheesecake in there, you're only going to have a small amount. And that's probably okay for a lot of people, but not around here. So I've changed the recipe. The other reason is you just barely can get, this is the only normal tablespoon that I have that I would serve something with. You know, you'd have to kind of work with that. My point is, I went and looked around. I found these that are made for baby food. They are 4 ounces, but again, you're not going to have a lot of cheesecake there. And you got to leave room for the graham cracker and the blueberry. So here's what I'm doing. These are ball mason jars, and they are an 8-ounce jar. And I'm going to fill them to about right here. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. I did some last night, and I actually filled them a little further than I want. So I'm going to fill these to about right here. We're going to see how many we get out of this particular recipe. But the other key part to this is like you have to get the water level right to begin with. Obvious. If these two are in there together, that's fine. But then if you try and put this in there and the water levels, it's obviously going to run over the top of that. So you got to keep in mind, if you're going to do this jar or that jar or whatever, just make sure you start out with the same ones. That's what we're fixing to do. I'm fixing to see how much you need for 5. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to make it where 5 jars can be in there using my sling, which kind of levels out the bottom, by the way. I didn't have that set on there. The sling is designed to kind of level out the bottom of a Ninja. If you know, they're concave, and that helps it set level, but it doesn't completely fix it. But you can see the ones I did last night. I'll show you one. It's not even noticeable. But the main thing is to get the bottom of that. I don't want the bottom of it sitting on the heating element. I want it to be in that sous vide water. So I'm getting way longer than I meant to. But I'm about to start that, and we're going to see how much water you need for, say, 5 of these 8-ounce jars. Okay, so I did the test. I'm going to put that video probably at the end of the video somewhere, maybe even after I say goodbye. But I filled the water all the way up to the bottom of that ring right there on all the mason jars, had them all in there, and it came out to exactly what they said, which was 12 cups. Now, I do show the bottom of how this right here works, the multi-purpose sling. It is a pretty neat device. It kind of levels out the bottom of that concave, but you can see the end if you want to see exactly what it looks like. But there's what it's called, and Ninja sells it. So the next step is, well, one, I got to get that started preheating, but then we're going to, while it's preheating, we're going to use a stand mixer with paddle attachment or hand mixer to beat together cream cheese, which is 1 pound of cream cheese, sugar until light and fluffy, and it's 1 cup of sugar, and beat together until light and fluffy, and then slowly add eggs one at a time until well incorporated. Then we're going to whisk in the sour cream and the heavy cream until smooth, or an even consistency with no lumps. And when you come back, that's all going to be done. And then all we're going to do is put it in that mason jar, or in those ball mason jars until the level I want, and we'll be ready to start. So right now, I'm going to get this to preheating, turn it on. We're going to hit sous vide. Going to take it to 170 as they called for 90 minutes, which is actually an hour and a half. I'm going to hit start. It is 121, so we'll see exactly how long that takes to come up and be ready, although I probably won't be ready, but when it gets ready, we'll see how long it took. Be back. Looks good to me. Okay, there goes our 170. I've just added the vanilla, which, by the way, well, let's see what time it is. Exactly 15 minutes for that to come to 170. And it'll count down for whatever reason. It counts down for like 30 seconds, and then it goes to your 90 or whatever you got it set for. And I'll have to reset that because I don't have my jars ready. But one thing it forgets to mention is to add the vanilla. It tells you here exactly what I did, which is beat together cream cheese and sugar until light and fluffy, and then slowly add eggs one at a time until well incorporated. Whisk in sour cream, heavy cream until smooth, even consistency with no lumps. And then that's when I put in my vanilla. Now we're at the point where all I got to do is get this out of here, get it in those, and set them in. Now, the next part is we let them cook for 90 minutes, and then is tomorrow. Once we bring them out, let them cool, then we set them in the refrigerator, and then tomorrow we add some blueberry jam or whatever, and then I'm actually going to put some real blueberries and, of course, the graham crumbs. So, get this started, I'll be back. Okay, so here are all 5, and I filled them to roughly that level. Now, it does rise a little bit, so, you know, maybe I'm a little high on that. Maybe, I'm not sure. I kind of wish I'd stayed around that ring, but we're going to see. You're supposed to loosely put the lids on. That's what I've done here. And I'm going to set that right there, which you can see a lot of the water evaporated, which I can add more. That's not a big crisis, and I'm going to have to, it looks like. Once I get these jars in, though, the level will raise. Just don't want them to turn over. So I'm just going to simply put them in like this. Hopefully it's going to cooperate with me. We'll go ahead and put one in the middle, maybe help keep those from... And I'm going to show you how much I had left over too. In fact, the water level stayed good. And you saw everything looks good so far. It took 15 minutes to heat. That is not a problem. But here's how much I had left over. And that's quite a bit. And I almost wished I had considered putting them in there. But I don't want to crowd it. And that's plenty for us. All I really need is 4. So now I've got to find the lid, because what they want is they want the lid on and it not, and it vented, in other words. You don't want to seal it. So you can see, there would be sealed. I'm going all the way right there to vent, and then so you can see what I'm doing, because I've let 10 minutes pass. I'm going to take that to 1 hour and 30 minutes, which is the 90 minutes they speak of. And once that's done, we got to let them cool a little bit and then put it in the refrigerator till tomorrow. So, trying to think of anything else I need to say. I don't think so. We're good to go. Oh, I'll show you the ones I did last night. Here's one of them. In fact, I got to move that camera probably, but here's one of them. And I've eaten them. They're good. There's no doubt. It was very good. And there's what it looks like. But you picture it now. I didn't put the blueberries and all, and I'm going to have to walk right in front of this camera. So excuse me and bear with me. But here is the smaller jar, and I filled it a little high, but you can see it might work for, some people with some graham and then blueberries on top. It might be perfect. It just make sure you get a spoon that'll fit in there. But I'll get off of that. We got an hour and a half, and then we're going to let them cool, and then it's going to be till tomorrow. So be back then. Okay, we're coming up on the end of the 90 minutes or the hour and a half. So all we're going to do, we don't have to do any pressure release or anything. Just going to open it up. And all I have to do is take these out. We'll take a look at one right now because they got to cool, but I don't want to set them in the refrigerator just like this. So let's see what levels we got. And they are, I'm sure, warm. You can see, I think I got about an inch to put the graham cracker and the blueberries on. And that's the same way in that one. They didn't do a lot of rising, whatever you want to say. I'm not sure that's not going to try and turn over, but they all look good. So, again, I may have stuck around. We were about right here. You got room though. You see it. Let's see, make sure you can, if I don't drop that. You can see that there's room for graham cracker and blueberry, so I'll get off of it. All we're going to do is let them sit right here and cool, and put them in the refrigerator overnight, and have some really good cheesecake and blueberries tomorrow. Let's see now. One thing I want to say right quick is I almost regret using that, because let me show you that you could mix this. It's simple. I mean, with the hand mixer for sure, but you can see once it gets room temperature, that is as soft as it. I mean, you don't really need the mixer. I got one, so I used it, but this right here and that would work perfect. And I don't want to intimidate anybody, and I kind of wish I hadn't used it, but I did. And I could have done it with that, though. That's my point. So tomorrow we're putting this on there, and we're going to put these blueberries on there and have some really neat dessert. Let's see if that's hard enough I can pick up. I think it's going to be really neat to be able to serve it that way right there. That is a good idea. Now, again, I believe I would have stopped a little shy. We're going to look. Right there. I don't know. That's plenty of room. That's plenty of room. That is plenty hot, though. 170 degrees is pretty hot, and I need a glove. But there's enough room there for the blueberries and all. Anyhow, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Okay, it is the next day, and here is pretty much 24 hours, and that's how they look at the end. And it is an excellent recipe. It tastes fantastic. Now, what I'm going to say is that they call for this right here. They call for, while the cakes are cooking, mix together the cracker crumbs and melted butter and set aside. Well, that's all. It also says that you can let them cool for 3 or 4 hours or overnight. Well, obviously, I went with the overnight, so I'm going to do this part right now. And here's what they call for. 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter and a half a package of graham crackers crushed. Well, that's a little vague. I'm not really sure what size graham cracker package you're talking about, but this one's 14.4 ounces. I'm going to do it by look and feel. That's what I'm getting at. In fact, I'm going to use this. I walked by that after I'd already purchased that, so I decided to use this. But when I come back, I'm going to have this ready to just present as if you were going to serve it. And let's see, the one thing I'm doing to them now, as you can see, it leaves a little residue on the side of the jar and stuff like that. So what I'm doing is taking this towel, and I'm going to do it a little better than I've done it, but you wipe it down to where you can see the blueberries and the graham cracker through the glass. In other words, just make it clean it up a little bit. And then also, I'll say this, I was worried about being too much in one. Well, just take a spoon and dip it down to the level you want if that's worrying you. And the other thing is, I kind of bad-mouthed this design yesterday. Well, take my word, I think that might be, if you were doing a wedding reception or something where you got, a lot of people there and you wanted to set out 25 or 30 or ever how many you needed of these, and then put the lid on and put a piece of cloth and some kind of tie rope around it or string around it, I think that would be a really neat thing to serve. And that, I'm telling you, that recipe is excellent for cheesecake. It's really good. And again, and here's a spoon. I found that we had this. So, I mean, I don't always use this kind of spoon, but if you were doing it at a wedding reception, that spoon or either one of those would work well. So what I'm going to do is you could melt this butter they're talking about in the microwave or a lot of ways, but here's something I ran across yesterday. And it is Ninja's new cookware, and it is the Foodi Never Stick. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold that and let you read it, because it'd be a lot easier for you to read all that than it would be for me to try and read it off to you. But I'm anxious to see how it does on a lot of things, but the only thing I'm doing tonight is probably melting butter in it. And I may include that at the end of the video along with when I'm going to put this at the end of the video. After I say goodbye, in other words, there'll be a bonus feature at the end where I set that up to get the water level right. And you can see this in action. The main thing I looked for on it was to make sure it was induction compatible, because I love induction. It works really well in my man cave situation. It works well in any situation. Induction is really nice. I really like it. So to get off of that, I'm going to get that right there done. I'm going to get these ready when I come back. As a matter of fact, you know what? Let's sacrifice one. Let's see. We'll take this one right here, and I'm going to show you. It is really, really good cream cheese. And it's a good consistency. It's just good. I'll leave it at that. And with that blueberry and graham cracker, I think it would be, I'm serving this tomorrow with some things I'm cooking. So I'm looking forward to see what everybody thinks. Right there is the butter melted, and I have added the video of me doing that to the end of the video. It'll be there. Here's what I ended up doing. That's how I'm only going to do 2 for this video purposes. And you can see I cleaned it up real well. I scooped it down just a little bit, and same thing here. I just got it where I thought it needed to be, and just clean it up best you can. And like I said. So what I'm about to do is add this 3 tablespoons of butter, a little at a time maybe, to that. In fact, that's a half of that package. I'll show you. Here's what's left of, and that's actually, I didn't weigh it or anything, but I got pretty close to half of that package. So I'm just going to stir that up a little bit, and we're going to see what we get out of that to see if we need more butter, because I'm going by their measurements, which was a half a package. Well, I'm not sure that's going to be what I want, but it's look and feel, and that's what I'm going to do. And actually, to keep this from being 10 miles long, I'm going to complete this till I get what I think is good right here. And if I have to add more, I'll tell you what it is. So I'll be back. But you can see what it's coming together. In fact, let's just do this just a second. It can't take that much longer, and you can fast forward if you need to. And I did sling some out on the floor. That's what I do. And as a matter of fact, that might be, all I wanted to do is just kind of have a, just kind of, you want to be able to tell it's got some butter on it. And I think that'll add a little flavor, and it kind of lets it compact a little bit, and the oil might help, with something. So, long story short, I'm going to do this. And I might be done with that. That might be all I put on it. Now, if you were trying to make a crust out of it, this is not enough. But we're not. We're just putting it on top. We're putting it on top of a mason jar with I keep saying cream cheese. I said that a while ago, but actually what I meant, of course, is a cheesecake. But now you can see what they did here, but that's kind of not possible in our situation. The way they describe how to do it. So I'm going to call that I got plenty of butter, but you know what? I don't see any reason to go any further. Let's see if I can get where you can see what I got. It's just got butter on it. It'll add flavor. That's my main point. All right, to show you what I'm doing, let's see if I can get where you can see me. I'm just dropping it on, just like this right here, and then shake it out a little bit. Same thing again, till I get I don't know, a 1/4 inch of a layer. Okay, so I bought 2 different things yesterday. One is wild blueberry preserves, and it's a product of France. It looks more like a jelly to me. I was unable to find jam, but then I also bought this. Bought them both at Publix. Wild blueberry, 100% fruit, and that's what it looks like. So I'm going to use this, I think. Now, once I get it on there, but that looks more like jelly to me. I'm sure it's good, but for this recipe, I'm going to start with that. We'll see how it goes. Be back. All right, for the record, what I'm doing is, and this is like blueberry caviar. It really is. It reminds you of caviar, but it's blueberries. And I just kind of shove it, and this is just presentation stuff. But I kind of push it off the spoon in the direction I want it to go, and you can see it's working pretty well, I think. I'll put it like this. I'm happy with it. I got to clean the jar up and pretty much put blueberries on top of it. And I think we're going to be good to go. Got to do the same thing to that one, though. Be back. All right, just for the record, I did the same thing here. Now, I don't know why I'm trying to get, you probably know more about this than I do, but I just take the spoon and press out the spot. You'll have air right here. It doesn't want to go down in there. So you just take the spoon and kind of go around it like this. And like I said, you might want to be fast forwarding a lot of what I'm doing. Because you probably know more than I do about it, but that worked well. By the way, I tasted this, absolutely spectacular, both of them. But this, I'm calling it, like I said, blueberry caviar. That's kind of what it's like. You can see it has, that's what I ended up using. That's all I used. And it has pieces of blue, it works. I'm stop at that. And next I got to do is now I'm going to drop a few blueberries on it. And we're going to call this done. So I'm going to get it all the way ready to make my pictures, and I'll be done. Be back. All right, right there it is, the finished product, and I'm proud of it. It turned out real well, and I'm sure it'll be a neat item to, just like this right here. I can put the lid on that, and I'm going to serve it tomorrow, but say, I would think 3 or 4 days. I mean, and the cheesecake recipe, excellent. I even tasted this, and it's got a good buttery graham flavor. It worked. And if you can find this right here, man, that is excellent. But any kind of blueberry jam, man, I don't have to tell you about blueberries. And then, of course, this right here, like I said, you could put some cloth around it and make it a really neat thing for maybe all of your guests might like that size. Mine eat a little more around here. And hang around at the end or after this, because I've got bonuses coming up. One is where I melted the butter in this, and I may fry an egg in it right quick just to show you how that looks, how well it does the nonstick. And I'm also going to put in the part where I set the Ninja up for sous vide, to where you put all your jars in ahead of time, you put the water amount you need, and then you take your jars out. That way you're not guessing when you got everything in there and you're trying to set it in water and have water go over the top and mess up your recipe. Anyhow, there you go. Hey, I love y'all all. Come back to see me. And if you don't mind, one of these right here, that'd be real nice. If you found anything here you like. Again, I love y'all all. Come back to see me. Bye-bye. Okay, so here is the sling that I'm referring to. And just so you'll know, Ninja makes it. I bought this from Ninja, and you can see it's tapered. And that is to compensate for the taper or the concave in the bottom of the Ninja's pot. And here's what they call it. Right there it is. Now, it doesn't completely fix it in this situation. It does in some, but you can see this is still not going to be completely level. You could keep fidgeting with it and make it better, but it's not. You can see right there, it doesn't completely fix that. But here's my point. Here's what I'm about to do, and I'm going to show it to you, but I'm going to explain it before I show it. And say I'm going to put 5 of these in there. All right, so I'm going to set these in there. I'm going to fill the water to the level I want it at. then I will remove all of these. And once those are all gone, I'll know exactly how much water I need from now on. Every time I do this, I just know I'll need X amount of cups of water. Now, if you're using this one, you'll have to do it like that. Obviously, you can't do these two together because this water level would be over that. And I know I hope I'm not insulting anybody's intelligence, but just in case you didn't think of it. So that's what I'm about to do. I'll probably fill these with water so they'll stay down while I put enough water to see the level I want. I'm over explaining, but hang on, I'll be back. Okay, there they are, full of water, so they won't try and float. And I'm about to fill that with water till I get to about 3/4 or maybe a little more up the sides of those jars. All I'm going to do is pour this right here until I get to a level I like. And that will tell me exactly how much water I need every time I do this recipe. In fact, I may put just a touch more, but not much. That right there. And that's right at the bottom of the ring, or the rib on that jar. And I think that will be perfect. So now all I have to do is remove those jars, and we will see exactly how much I need every time. So let's do that. And it is going to be it's going to shock me and it is. It's exactly what they said. Now, they were using different jars, but it's 12 cups. So 12 cups is the perfect number for doing this recipe. I stand not corrected because I would not use the jars they're using. All right, here is some bonus footage for the Ninja Foodi Nonstick cookware. And just in case you want to see it in action, all I'm doing at this point is melting some butter. So what I'm going to do is just turn it on. I'm going to show you, prove that it is induction compatible. We're going to go on low right there. And that should do it. All we're going to do is melt that butter. And that is as low as that unit will go, probably around, I don't know, 170, 180. I really don't know. I probably could get a thing and test it. Might not be the most level in the world, but something's off a little bit. But it doesn't have to be off much for a liquid to run, or butter to run to one side. So I'm just going to let that melt down right there, but you can see how fast it started acting. And I will say this, that material, and it'll get hot all over in a minute, it is, I'm not going to say rough, but it's not slick. It has a rough texture, but you know what matters is how it cooks. And I got good faith in it because I swear by that ceramic coating they have in the Ninja Foodi. So I'm gonna get that melted. That's all I'm gonna do. Then I'm adding it to the crumbs that we're gonna do on the cheesecake. So there you go. There, that shows you that it is induction compatible. And I tell you what, I might just add a fried egg. I got one right there. I may do a fried egg at some point before this is over, and if I do, it'll be right after this. All right, we are and have been at 350. There's 349, 351. So we're about to drop an egg and see how it does. Right in the center. All right, I don't want to move the egg. It's been on about 3 minutes right now, but you can see it's actually lifting up. I hope you can see that. I don't want to move the pan or anything, but it's actually lifting and turning loose in the back. All right, I'm going to move the egg around a little bit. It's been on there about 4 minutes, but you can see it's lifting up in the back. And look at that. That is that's pretty slick. I'm going to just move it around, let it sit in the middle a minute, because I want the yolk a little more done than that, but you just saw what it does. It works. Now, I would try to flip that egg, but you'd probably see me make a mess, so I'm just going to get it back to the center of the skillet and let it go a little bit longer. All right, that's been 6 minutes on that side, And
I didn't understand that.
whoops. Yeah, I want to turn you off. I don't know what more you'd ask for right there. So I'm going to flip it with this spatula because I know what happens if I try and flip it the way you see them do it at Waffle House. Well, I'm going to let that cook just a little bit longer, and we're going to see if it sticks in that direction. Be back. 370 to 368 all the way around the skillet. It's been on right at 9 minutes. And I flipped it. That's what it looks like. I'm not going to let it go any further. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it did not stick. That was the point. All right, I'm going to do one more egg. I had technical difficulties right here, so we're going to do one more, and I'm going to do this in a little lower temperature. It's 338, 337. I'm good with that. But I want you to see for sure that it doesn't stick. In fact, it's impressive. So we'll let that go for a couple of minutes, or like a minute and a half. All right, we're coming up on a minute and a half. So I'm going to see if it'll just break free by shaking it. And it did. There you go. Now if I was one of those kind of guys that could flip one, that would be the time right there. But at this temperature, I may let this sit just a little bit longer, but I'm about to flip that one because, like I said, I'm wanting a couple to eat. That one turned out very well. That's just the one I had the technical difficulty on. I'm tempted to try and flip it, but I'm not. I'm going to flip it like that. And you saw, it doesn't stick. It's a very good surface so far. I mean, if that changes, I will definitely let you know. But let's see, we got to watch that one. I'm going to let that go about a minute and a half on that side. And we're going to call that done. So, I'll be back in just a second. All right, this is about 2.5 minutes. And you can see it is in no way, shape, form, or fashion. It is perfect. I got a feeling I should pull it right there. But I'm going to give it the other 30 or about 20 seconds now. So, I'll just leave the camera running. And I got a feeling that's going to be my perfect egg. In fact, I'm going to move this one that I got a little too done. I'm going to eat these two right here. And we are there. And there you go. Now that is how an egg is supposed to do. I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to cut this, make sure you can see it. You can. I'm going to cut this and right down the middle. And that's a 3-minute egg. That's absolutely perfect for me and what I'm looking for. And that is my take on the Ninja Skillet, or the Ninja's Never Stick cookware. And like I said, it's got a good feel, and maybe one of these days I'll try one of them flip an egg for you, but I didn't want to make a mess. Hey, love y'all all. Come back to see me. I hope you learned something from this, and if you did, please give me one of them. I would appreciate that. Good night. Bye-bye.